So when creating a one-pager, you're going to be doing it a little bit differently this year. It's going to be a digital process instead of writing it with your pen, but that's okay. So you'll have an individual Google Doc that will be shared with you via the Google Classroom. A couple of things I want you to keep in mind when you're creating and writing your one-pager. It may be different than other classes, that's okay. I just call it a one-pager because it generally takes about one page, sometimes front and back, so I guess that still counts. The first thing you want to think about is, even before you get to the writing process, it's important that you understand all the concepts and all of the vocabulary related to that learning objective. So understand the learning objective first, and then you can go to the part where you get to show your learning by writing the one-pager. So now you can move on to the second step. The second step is to ask any questions that you have about the content that you need to be talking about in the writing of your one-pager. Now, we're going to practice right now using Google Meet to get your questions asked and answered, and we'll see if we need to use that in the future in a Tier 2 or Tier 3 situation. So you're going to be asking questions. Ask lots of questions. Don't reserve this for like the big questions and let everything sort of sit there and wait. Use it for the little questions, the medium questions, the large questions, and everything in between, if there is anything in between. So anytime you have a question, ask that question so that we can get you moving along on the process and understanding the concepts. Remember, in class is where we do the heavy lifting, the big learning. So you'll be introduced to a lot of things outside of class, and this in class is the place where we want to get the questions answered so we can keep on going. So it might be a small little question to keep you moving down the path. It might be something big that you come across, but like Encyclopedia Brown said, no case too small. And remember, you can do this with a group of people, a small group, a big group. You can do this individually, certainly, definitely individually, but however you want to do that, ask your questions, get your answers, and then it's time to start writing. So the third step is to write the one-pager. So this is where you're going to take all the answers to the questions that you got and put them into that writing on the one-pager. This is where you're going to take the research that you've done and the understanding that you've done from your notes and the reading that you've done related to this learning objective. You're going to put that all in there and make sure that you answer all the parts of the questions. All the parts of the prompt should be included in that process. And as always, if more questions come up as you're writing, ask those questions, right? Ask those questions all the time. And always write as much as you know. More is more. And then finally, reread it. Make sure that you put everything in there. You've answered all the different parts of the prompt, that you show that you've understood this learning objective and this part of the learning objective and the concepts that go along with it. Go reread it. And then ask any other questions that come up after you go back and read again. I always say, can you dig it? So what does it mean to dig it? It means to describe, explain, give an example. Can you dig it? So describe means that you're going to say, this is what it looks like, right? So that's the introductory information. That's the definitions and the information. Explain means that you're saying, this is how it connects. This is what it means. This is how it relates to other things. This is the impact. This is how it affects other things. So the explanation goes a lot deeper and makes lots of connections with other things. And finally, give an example. An example is something in the real world of government and politics, something that applies the information that you've described and explained, something in real life where this has taken place. It's an example that shows that you understand what you're writing about and you can apply it in the real world. This is an important concept to get, an important skill to practice, and something that shows up time and time again on the AP exam. And of course, you want to be able to do this to show that you understand it. If you can dig it, well, then we know that you understand it. So that's a little bit about the one-pager. Make sure you ask any questions right now and in the future about how to do this in an expert way.